Okay, so let's move on today. Today we are going to be talking more about parallel and perpendicular lines. And what I would just like to remind you of from page 17 are the rules that we came up with. Parallel lines have the same slope, and perpendicular lines, which remember perpendicular means they form a 90-degree angle. Perpendicular lines are negative reciprocals. And their product, if we check the product and multiply them together, we should get -1. And those are our rules. We're just restating them. But here we will be on page 23. And what we're going to be doing, and we'll be showing you the Desmos part of this when we come back in together. But I just want to show you the algebra part of this. We can look at two equations and see if their slopes are the same or are negative reciprocals or something else. If we look at question number 1, this first one is great because we already have the slope. We have y equals mx plus b. But in the second equation, that one's in standard form. So we're going to have to get the y alone. So we'll have 4y equals 5x minus 16. And to get the y alone, we're going to have to divide everything by 4. So we'll have y equals 5/4 times x. Now, -16 divided by 4, that gives us a y-intercept of -4. So these are not the same exact line, because if you look here, the y-intercept is -2, and this is a y-intercept of -4. However, if we highlight, and I am going to take a minute and grab my highlighter, the slopes and compare them, we can see that both slopes are 5/4. And since the slopes are the same, you write that here, slopes are both 5/4. So the lines are parallel. Okay. Now let's take a look at another one. The first equation says y equals 3/2 x minus 7. Well, I've already got a slope. Yay for me. Sitting right there. Now this second equation, I'm going to have to isolate or get the y alone. I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. 2y equals -3x plus 12, and I don't want to lose that negative sign. Now I'm going to divide everything by 2. Y equals -3/2 x plus 6. I'm going to highlight that. So when I look at those two slopes, they are not the same. So they are not parallel. But the question is, are they negative reciprocals? And a lot of kids get tripped up by this. They see the negative and the positive, and they say, yes, they're perpendicular. But that just means that they're negatives of each other. We need the reciprocal part. We need the fraction to also be flipped. And the fraction is not. They're both with a 3 in the numerator and a 2 in the denominator. So these are not perpendicular either. These are just two lines that will cross at some point. But we call them neither. sorry, got my E there, neither. They are neither parallel, nor are they perpendicular. Couple more to try. Here we have a slope of 5. We have to get the y by itself. Y equals negative 5x plus 7. Well, first of all, negative 5 and positive 5 are not the same. So they are not parallel. But my question for you is, could they be perpendicular? And remember, we need them to have opposite signs for the negative part, and they need to be flipped for the reciprocal. And they are not flipped. So they are neither. Now these get a little tougher over here because we've got some strange things going on. But I have a slope here of 3. This tends to really upset people because the y is alone, but it is written backwards. Some of you will feel a lot better if I do this. And that'll just make you feel so much better. And you'll see the slope is also 3. So we'll say here the slopes are both 3. So the lines are parallel. Just a little something to try to trip you up there. Now here we have y equals negative 1/2 x. And our b just happens to be here, 0. So don't let that fool you. Now over here, we're going to have to get the y alone. So we'll have 2y equals negative x plus 18. And we'll divide everything by 2. And believe it or not, this is definitely a place where kids can get messed up because they forget that there is actually a 1 there. But this is negative 1/2 x plus 18 divided by 2, which is 9. So we also have negative 1/2 for the slope. So the slopes are both negative 1/2, and they are parallel. Didn't have any perpendiculars in this group. Now here, I'm going to want to show you, I'm going to hold off on these. I'm going to want to show you these because I'm going to let you use Desmos on these. So on page 24, just hold off on that. And we will do these when we come back together.